No means are we opening up the economy wide open. That's going to be a long, drawn-out process. We're going to make sure that we do our due diligence, make sure that we communicate with municipalities and along with our federal government before we do anything. I realize, Brian, people, again, are getting a little antsy, but nothing's more important than our health.
We recognize that different provinces will make different decisions about how and where to start restarting and reopening their economies. We are going to work to coordinate so that we're basing ourselves on shared values, principles, and scientific approaches right across the country.
All right, so there's Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, and Justin Trudeau talking about what will be critical. Is there a plan to open up? But what do Canadians think so far about how Justin Trudeau and the provinces have handled COVID-19? And where is this going? To discuss all this, CTV Pollster and the CEO of Nanos Research, Nik Nanos, joins us. Nik, I hope you and the family are well. I know you celebrated Greek Orthodox Easter. Happy Easter to you and your family. Give us a sense of what Canadians are saying about Mr. Trudeau's government's handling of COVID-19.
Well, you know, we track every week the state of the nation in terms of political preferences. And what's clear in the last 4 weeks, especially, the Liberals have started, their numbers have started to ramp up. And, you know, the interesting thing is right now the Liberals are at around 38% nationally when it comes to popular support. And the Conservatives, and these are the eye-popping numbers, are down to 26%. You know, in the absence of a permanent leader, with a significant focus on Justin Trudeau, the Liberal leader, it looks like the Liberals are opening up a significant advantage. So right now, at least, it looks like the Liberals at least have a bit of a tip of the hat politically from average Canadians when it comes to how they're managing things.
Well, that's interesting because Peter MacKay was making the argument we need a permanent leader right now to question Justin Trudeau, but that race has been suspended. When you dig down into the numbers, what about the government's response? Look, they're mailing checks to literally everyone right now. Is it that they like the program, or is there that they like the guy?
I think actually what they like is a proactive government. And what we're seeing, at least, is almost every day Justin Trudeau and the Liberals are out in the news announcing new programs and new spending to help a diversity of Canadians. Today, it was a big announcement for university students. And I think that's what Canadians like. There might be things that they kind of nitpick at, but the reality is whenever we see a prime minister that is very proactive, you know, the same thing happened with Stephen Harper back in 2008. When Stephen Harper and the Conservative government were proactive in responding to the recession back in 28 and the financial meltdown, that was good for his personal brand, and it was good for the Conservatives because they saw a prime minister that was proactive. So we're seeing this same phenomenon now, but the Liberals have to watch out. This doesn't mean that everybody likes the Liberals and will vote for the Liberals in the next federal election. What it means is that right now they like what they see.
Okay, what's vulnerable? Because we showed 2 clips of phase 2, which is you got to open up the economy at some point in some manner. How they do it may be the most critical decision of this term for Justin Trudeau. Are Canadians looking for a plan to come back to some kind of normal?
Well, they're looking for some sort of certainty. Like, the fact of the matter is, Evan, is that we've got a national hostage taking. Coronavirus is holding Canada and Canadians hostage. And, you know, the thing is that although it looks like the initial response was positive from Canadians in terms of being very proactive, now Canadians are increasingly turning their mind to what is the exit strategy? How is victory, or at least managing the outbreak in a satisfactory manner, described? You know, we've asked for transparency, or Canadians asked for transparency on the modeling. I think right now the next thing about transparency is, okay, so what are the steps that are involved in a post-COVID world, and how will that look like, and how will it sequence? And what is going to be the role of the federal government, especially when we look at the provinces as key frontline players in the war against COVID-19?
Well, that's interesting because there's always tension between Ottawa and the provinces. That's the nature of our federation. But, man, have we ever seen cooperation? We just showed the clip of Doug Ford. He was the target of the Liberals during the last campaign, and vice versa. Now they're working together, hand in hand, complementing each other. Are all incumbent governments, you know, a crisis can make or break a government, but are the provincial governments as well enjoying a bump?
Yeah, there's basically the ocean is rising for all kind of what I'll say governments right now in Canada, because basically what we've seen is a situation where the Federation, which for the last couple of years has been seen as being dysfunctional, is actually working, and that we're seeing real cooperation between the federal government and provincial governments. But the thing is that might be easier when it comes to the initial fight and response because it has to do with the lockdown and isolation. The killer will be sequencing the Federation and getting Canada back to work and trying to get provincial premiers to work in tandem with each other, but also to cooperate with the federal government. And I think this is probably where Canadians expect Justin Trudeau to step up, not necessarily to lead, but to encourage a coordinated, evidence-based response so that people can get back to work and try to get back to some sort of normalcy in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah, Nick, look, and I'm not trying to be cynical about it, but nothing unites a federation like the federal government spending tons of money on the provinces, and you know that. That's what they always want. This is a crisis, though, that is much beyond the usual cut and thrust and the pull of the federation between the provinces and the central government. But Conservatives have been making some, and by the NDP as well, some very powerful points about oversight, democracy, and Parliament. Now, I remember when the Liberals were criticizing Stephen Harper for proroguing Parliament. They lost. Just real quick, because Jason Kenney's coming, are those Conservatives' critiques starting to hit?
No, they're not starting to hit. And the Conservatives got to pivot to what's going to happen when Canada hits the economic wall. They've got to get there, because right now it looks like people like what they're seeing from the Liberals.
All right, Nick, hang in there. I really appreciate that. That's Nik Nanos from Nanos Research.